All right, how do we stay lean year round? This is going to be a fat loss maintenance masterclass, baby. You guys voted. This is the first video you wanted, so we're fucking giving it to you. Look at this fucking guy. That is not me. Holy shit, look at that tricep. All right, shut up, dude. Let's get right into this shit, though. No fucking script here, nothing. Just gonna fucking try to provide as much value as I can, try to help you guys out as much as I can. That's the goal with this channel, with this video, with everything. So let's fucking do it. So how the fuck do we get lean in the first place? How do you go from your fat ass right now to looking like this, or hopefully even better than that? So hopefully you guys already have an understanding of calories, and we all know that the way to get lean is to be in a calorie deficit. I'm sure you've heard this before. So you probably clicked off the video after hearing that shit. Hopefully you didn't. Hopefully you're still here. Hopefully you're still listening, because I'm gonna give you so much game, and you're gonna be like, "Fuck, I missed out." But you wouldn't even know because you're not here anymore. But fuck you. So, how the fuck? What the fuck are calories? So calories are units of energy. Basically, when we ingest food, they contain energy. They contain calories. Technically, kilocalories. I'm actually learning this shit in physics right now. I'm not gonna get into any of that. Nobody gives a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I know you definitely don't. So we eat calories and we also burn calories in order to keep us functioning, in order to be moving around the way I'm moving my lips right now to talk and blink and move my hands, all this shit. It's all taking energy, requiring energy to create this movement, which then burns energy that we have to replace with food. We don't have to necessarily. So basically, a calorie deficit is when you burn more calories than you consume. AKA, let's say I burn 2,000 calories in a day. Now, let's say I'm eating 1,800 calories. That would mean I'm eating in a 200 calorie deficit. Therefore, because I'm not giving my body the energy that it needs in order to function, it's going to pull from my stored energy, which is my body fat. That's what body fat is. It's stored energy. It's going to pull from that in order to fuel itself and meet the energy demands that it needs for that day. So, if it wasn't clear, you want to eat less than you burn essentially every day. That's how you lose fat. If you fucking heard that insulin makes you fat or carbs make you fat or some other bullshit out there, like, just stop listening. And if you believe that shit and you're like, calories don't make you fat, what are you, a fucking idiot? Then get the fuck off this page, because this shit is not for you. But I'm going to detail all this shit and what not to do, what to do. I have a full guide about this shit, like specific macros to follow, everything. I will make a separate video about how to get lean, how to cut. This is mainly about how to maintain that and what not to do during your cut to prevent weight gain, rebound, all that stuff, which we're going to get into. We're going to deep dive into. But I have written here 500 calorie deficit. So what does that mean? Like I said, let's say your maintenance, and also important note, a way to find out how much energy you burn, how many calories you burn per day. Look up TDEE calculator. I should have wrote this here. Fuck me. Low key, should I do it right now? Fuck it. Okay. Calculator. I believe there's one like tdecalculator.net, I believe is the classic one. Just look that up. You'll find one. This stands for total daily energy expenditure, which is basically the sum of all of the energy that you burn per day for digestion, for just living while you sleep, while you're talking and moving and exercising. There's a bunch of different factors in that, doesn't matter. So you're gonna find out how much. This is an estimate. It's not gonna be completely accurate. It's an estimate of how many calories you burn per day. That way you know how many calories you should be eating. Now, the way that I usually suggest to do this is get the estimate, then try eating around that range. Let's say you're trying to find your maintenance, so try eating around that range. See, did you gain weight after a week of consistently eating that? Did you gain weight? If you gained weight, then you were eating above your maintenance, and that's not truly your maintenance. So from there, lower your calories a bit, see what happens. Let's say you lost weight, then you're in a calorie deficit. So if your goal was maintenance, then you would want to increase the calories. But our goal is fat loss here. We want to lose fat, so that would be a good thing. But it's just an experimentation game. Don't just do one day and then you see that the scale changed. You're like, fuck, I'm in a deficit or I'm in a surplus, because your weight's going to fluctuate all the time, which I'll talk about later, I'm sure. But you want to track at least a week's worth of data. The more data you can get, the better. Um, because, like I said, there's going to be a ton of fluctuations. So you want to go off of averages rather than and trends rather than just day to day fluctuations because you're never going to get anywhere with that. You're going to fucking eat in a deficit one day and then somehow gain 2 pounds the next day and you're going to be like, what the actual fuck? And then you're going to starve yourself and then we're not even going to get into any of that. So just experiment with that, get some data, figure out what your maintenance is, what you actually need to eat in a deficit, and then go from there. I recommend the app Happy Scale. I've been using that for fucking like 10 years. I'm sure there's plenty of other apps, but it tracks the averages and the trends, like I said. So it just kind of it has that built in for you. So I think it's great for that, and I always recommend it. But so you found out how many calories you're burning roughly. It's just a rough estimate. Now, how do we find out how much we're eating? So we're going to track our calories. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this, and this could potentially be something that you don't want to do in terms of sustainability, which I'm sure I'll touch on later as well. But I think it's very important for people to at least have an idea of how many calories they're consuming. And if you've never tracked before, then you're not going to have any idea. You're probably way underestimating how much you eat, and that's probably why you're not as lean as you want to be. So I highly recommend that you get a food scale, get measuring cups, whatever you need. I think a food scale is the easiest thing. You can kind of do everything with it. Get a food scale, really track everything that you eat for a day. Track your oils, track your sauces, everything. This isn't to like turn into this crazy bodybuilder who's on dick about everything and make it crazy hard for you, but it's just to get the most accurate data that you can. And then from there, you can kind of chill out a little bit with it. But again, I'll talk about that later. Now that we got that set in stone, again, I could talk about every single one of these bullet points for fucking hours, and I will touch on this in a second here. This is not very organized, so forgive me. If you're still with me, 7 minutes in, then you're the fucking man. Let's keep going, because all the values to come. So, here's where everybody goes wrong here. So, they just think about this. They just think about calorie deficit, because yes, that is the foundation. That is what actually causes fat loss. But they just think about that, and they just think short term. They don't think long term. They don't think about after the cut when they actually want to maintain this fat loss. And it's usually why you end up like this, why you end up yo-yo dieting, gaining and losing the same 10 pounds, fucking rebounding. I will make a full video about that. I'm going to say that probably 800 times during this video because, I could talk about all these things for hours. But the best way to prevent this is to not think short term and to think long term. You're going to thank yourself in the future. And that's what this entire video is about, essentially, and showing you exactly what to do instead of thinking short term. But you want to get away from the mindset of just suffering through it, just suffering through the hunger, through the calorie deficit. And then when you get to maintenance, it's going to be like, oh, everything's going to be easy. It's fucking piece of cake from here. I just got to suffer through it for now. Don't worry about like any of my habits or anything. Just diet soda here, fucking keto bread there, diet hack here, fucking not actually worrying about building systems or habits or anything that's actually going to be conducive to maintaining this weight loss once you're done with the cut. That's the biggest mistake people make. And going along with that is going too aggressive, which, again, I will make multiple videos about all these different things. I'm going to talk about all this shit. But essentially, people try to go too aggressive. They want to lose the weight too quickly. And this can work for some people, but 9 times out of 10, especially if you're the average person, if you're not as lean as you want to be right now, this is probably not the move for you. You're probably going to rebound after and binge and develop disordered eating, which happened to me and happens to so many people, and that's why I don't want it to happen to you. So instead of going really aggressive, trying to be in like a fucking 2,000 calorie deficit, let's say your maintenance is like 2,500 calories and you're eating fucking 500 calories a day, please don't do that. I think the sweet spot is about a 500 calorie deficit. You can give or take a couple hundred calories, whatever. Everyone's going to be different, but I think 500 calories is a good baseline. That would equate to about a pound of loss per week, which I think is a very solid rate. It's pretty quick. That's 12 pounds in 12 weeks. Like, that shit will add up. That's 50 pounds, 52 pounds in a year. Like, that shit adds up. But it's not too aggressive where it's unsustainable and it's setting you up to rebound after the fact. So I think it's a good sweet spot, but it's not this magical number that you have to follow. It's just a general recommendation that I would usually advise people to start with when they're trying to lose fat. But again, take it with a grain of salt. But another one of the biggest mistakes people make is expecting maintenance to be easy. Like I said, they think that they're just going to suffer through this cut, and then once they get over it, everything's going to be good and dandy. They can have cheat meals, they can have everything they want. Like, maintenance is going to be super easy. They're not going to be hungry anymore. I promise you that's the majority of the time it's not the case. Yes, maintenance is easier than cutting on paper. You can argue, like I know for me, maintenance is high-key harder than cutting because I can have all the discipline in the world when I'm cutting, and it's because you have a goal that you're striving towards and you're seeing the fat loss every day. You're getting that instant gratification. When you're at maintenance, that gratification is significantly delayed. You're not seeing the scale drop. You're not seeing yourself get leaner. I could talk about that for hours again. I'm sure I'll make a video about that. But the main idea is don't expect maintenance to just be this fucking walk in the park, because you're quickly going to realize that it's not, and that you're probably going to rebound. Now, with that said, it can be easy if you set up these systems, which I'm going to outline in a second here. But just make sure you're not going into it thinking that it's going to be super easy and that you just have to suffer through it short term, do the calorie deficit, because I promise you that's going to lead you down a bad path that you don't want to be down. So let's not do that. Another big mistake is trying to rely on willpower alone. Like I just said, just trying to suffer through it, not actually building systems and habits and making your life easier for yourself and focusing on your environment and all these different things that I'm about to outline for you. It's not focusing on that. It's fucking just thinking short term, just suffer through this, just be a man, whatever the fuck. And then you gain all the weight back and you wasted your time. And it's like, fuck me, what am I doing? And then you're back to this video, rewatching this shit like, damn, Nick, I should have listened to you the first time. And I'm like, shit, I tried to tell you, man. I tried to fucking tell you. You didn't want to listen. Now you're looking like this fucking guy. Now, let me also preface that I've made all these mistakes. I've yo-yo dieted. I've gone too aggressive. I've thought short term instead of long term. I've expected maintenance to be easy. I've done all this shit. And it's the reason why I'm so passionate about this and why I love helping people with it. But these are the systems I'm about to outline for you, the systems that I use with myself and with my clients and that I recommend all the time. If you watch my reels, I'm sure you've seen me talk about all these different things. I have fucking like 600 posts, probably like 300 or 400 of them are about these different things. But I'm going to outline all this shit for you, give you some nuance, fucking go even more in depth. We're fucking 12 minutes in, forgive me, this might be a fucking 50-minute video. But let's keep going. Let's get into the nitty gritty here. So what do you actually do instead then? We talked about what not to do. So what do you do instead then, huh? I'm sure you're all asking that, right? Fucking the two of you watching this shit. Anyways, so we want to build systems that promote long-term success. And this revolves around building habits and a lifestyle that promote this long-term success. Now, again, I will outline specifically what this looks like in practice, everything like that. So do not worry. Fucking chill out. Wait a second. Be patient here. But let's talk about a few different things here, first of all. So, like I alluded to before, you need to expect challenge. I'm going to talk more about that on the next slide, but just for now, expect challenge. It's not going to be easy. Expect challenge. Expect to be hungry. You have to embrace hunger, especially when you're dieting, when you're trying to lose the fat in the first place. Now we're shifting more towards the actual maintenance part of this, but either way, you're going to be hungry. I'm still hungry at maintenance, even when I'm eating like 3,000 calories. I still get hungry. I'm going to talk about how to deal with that, how to mitigate that as best as possible, but it's most likely going to be there to some extent, and you have to embrace that shit. You have to learn to like love it almost. Like it's psychotic in a way, but that's kind of what it takes, because if there was no hunger and if it was easy, then everybody would do it. Everybody would be fucking what the fuck? Everybody would be fucking ripped and everybody would have sick physiques, and then like, you know, like where's the challenge in that? Where's the fun in that, you know? So expect challenge, embrace that shit. Again, I'll talk more about that in a second. You really got to have an identity shift here, though. This is something that I talk about all the time. Again, I could talk about this for hours. You really have to you have to see yourself as the kind of person that's lean, that does these different things. You can literally map this out. An activity that I recommend people to do is literally write down. I've seen multiple different ways that people explain this. Some people explain it as like the Nick 10.0 or like hot shit Nick or some fucking corny shit like that, or your higher self, whatever you want to say. New identity, ripped Nick, ripped fucking whatever your name is. Um, you have to see yourself as the person, as the kind of person who's ripped. You have to see yourself in that physique already, and you have to outline what does a day to day life look like for this person, for this new version of myself. What time do they wake up? What's their routine? Do they snooze? Do they go for a walk in the morning? Do they hydrate right away? Do they fast? Do they eat right away? What do they do? What kind of foods are they eating? What kind of fucking what everything. You want to get as specific as you can. And the key here is you want to really already see yourself as this kind of person and start emulating these actions, these habits, and eventually the results are going to come and you're actually going to become that version of yourself. But you have to see yourself as that person before it's actually there, before you actually see the results. Um, Again, I could talk about that for hours, but that's just a general idea of this identity shift, and it's kind of the root of this change here. So let's say if you're watching this, maybe you've never been lean, maybe you've been yo-yo dieting, maybe you can get lean but not stay lean all year round. Maybe you've been obese for your whole life, maybe you've been a little bit overweight your whole life, or you've just never really had an above average physique, whatever it is. You have to have an identity shift here. You've spent years creating bad habits, fucking unhealthy relationship with food, whatever it is. This shit's not going to be easy to change, but you really have to have a shift here. Like, everything's got to shift here, because if you want to see change, then something has to change. You know what I mean? Forgive me, I'm not very articulate. I'm not very good at articulating my thoughts here, especially this kind of idea. It's hard to talk about shortly, but yeah, I sound like a fucking idiot right now. But hopefully you kind of understand what I'm saying. If not, I'll make a separate video about that, and I've made reels about that, so go watch them. But again, the whole idea here is sustainability. Obviously, we're trying to sustain fat loss. Like, that's the whole thing here. Trying to maintain fat loss. So obviously sustainability is going to be the absolute root of this. So we want to emphasize that. You don't want to do things during your cut, during the beginning parts of your maintenance, whatever, that you can only sustain short term. If you can't sustain it long term, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. Now, there is obviously some nuance there. Like, obviously, when you're cutting, like, you're going to be eating less calories. Like, there's going to be certain things that you're doing that you're not going to do all the time. But in general, as a general rule of thumb, a general idea, if you can't sustain something forever, let's say it's cutting out ice cream, like you're never going to have ice cream again. If you can't see yourself doing that forever, then don't do it while you're cutting and expect to be able to maintain that forever after the fact, because you're not going to be able to. And again, I will touch on this specific topic in detail in a second here, but you really just need to focus on sustainability, because that's the whole fucking key here. So focus on that, focus on the long term, not the short term. I think I've beat that drum to death here, so hopefully that makes sense. But going back to what I was saying before, kind of about the identity shift here, is you have to understand the root cause of why are you not lean? Why are you where you are right now? Why do you look the way you do? Why are you overweight? Why are you not lean? Why whatever? Why do you not have the physique that you want? What's the root cause of this? Is it a binging problem, which I'll make multiple videos about, don't worry? Is it some kind of emotional problem? You use food to deal with emotions. You are just bored and you don't have anything else to keep you busy, so you're constantly overeating and eating bullshit. Is it the people in your life, your environments, that's setting you up to fail? And is it the way you were brought up? Your family just fed you fucking bullshit and now you're kind of addicted to that kind of food? You got to find the root cause, because that's the only way to solve this. And that goes along with the idea of sustainability. You got to find that root cause and attack that, and then you can go from there. That's the key to solving binging, to solving overeating, to figuring out why you're not where you want to be. You have to address the root cause, because if you don't address the root, then, and you only address the different branches and stuff, then the fucking shit's just going to keep growing and keep coming back, you know what I mean? That was a pretty tough analogy, am I right? Okay, shut up, dude. Sorry, okay, let me move my fucking big head here. Let's go right next to this fucking guy. Sure, okay, sorry. There's no way anybody's watching this shit this deep in. If you are, comment Nick or some shit. I don't fucking know. Right? Every cornball YouTuber ever? Okay. 20 minutes. There's not a soul watching this. I'm fucking talking to myself. This is awesome. Okay. I'm actually having a great time with this though. So please leave a like, leave a comment. I'm gonna make videos about everything you guys want. Don't worry, it's gonna be awesome. But anyways, so let's talk about a mindset shift here. More on this, as I just touched on this a lot, obviously. But as I was alluding to before, if you want an above average physique, you need to do things that the average person isn't willing to do. The average person is going to the grocery store, they're getting Oreos, they're getting bullshit, they're fucking relying on food to deal with emotions and for cheap dopamine, all this stuff. They're fucking pigging out, they're drinking, they're partying, they're not taking care of themselves, they're not taking themselves seriously. And that's why they don't look good. That's why they're fat, that's why they're overweight, that's why they don't have an above average physique. So again, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would have fucking six pack abs year round. They'd be jacked, shredded. Fucking, I wouldn't have a job. Fucking, we'd all look fucking sick, and there'd be, you know, if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's the classic cornball saying, but it's so true, and it's something you have to remind yourself of, because this shit's not going to be easy, as I was alluding to, and you have to embrace that. You have to accept it. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it good. That's what makes it worth fucking striving towards. But yeah, that's the core foundation here is understanding this. But another big mindset shift is food is fuel. You have to start viewing food as fuel. It's not a source of dopamine, of pleasure, to deal with boredom, to deal with stress, to fill voids, to give yourself temporary pleasure because you're not getting it from other aspects of your life, whatever it is. We all do these things. We're all guilty of it at certain times, but if you can start to just view food as fuel and start to think about, is the stuff I'm putting in my body, is it bringing me closer to my goals? Is it going to make me feel better? Is it going to fuck up my gut and make me fat and make me feel like shit? You need to start thinking about it as fuel, because that's what it is. Fucking, you think our ancestors, I'm going to give the classic ancestral fucking primal douchebag analogy, whatever example, but you think our ancestors were looking for food, looking for the fucking tastiest thing they could get, looking for fucking, you think they had Oreos? Like, no, they were fucking just trying to fuel themselves to work and fucking do whatever the fuck they were doing. I don't know what they were doing, but hopefully you get the point there. You need to start viewing food as fuel. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't enjoy food, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, because if you start to get too far on the end here, too far on one side of the spectrum, then you're not going to be able to sustain it. But you need to have this mindset overall, at least majority of the time. There is a time and place to have food for taste and pleasure and all that stuff, which we'll talk about in a second once again, but you got to believe this and rewire your brain to think this, essentially. Now, as I was saying, you got to find another source of pleasure, or whatever it is that you're using food for, to deal with boredom, whatever. You need to find something else to deal with these things. You need to seek connection. Go call your mom, call your friend, go hang out with your friend, go talk to your roommate, go make a video, go fucking start a business, go study, go do something. Keep yourself busy. Find ways to deal with these emotions more in a more healthy way, because food is not the way to do that, and you're going to quickly give yourself disordered eating habits and all kinds of problems, and you really don't want that. It's very hard to fix, so let's please avoid that. Now, I want you to ask yourself, are those 5 minutes of pleasure really worth it? In 99% of cases, it's not. Those 5 minutes of dopamine, of feeling good when you're eating the food, versus the hours of suffering, of discomfort, of feeling like shit, of bloat, of fat gain, of hating how you look, of fucking list goes on and on. Insert whatever other bad thing you want here. Is that really worth those 5 minutes of pleasure? I know you know this, like, looking back on it, and in the moment is when it's really hard. You literally tell yourself this, yet you still do it. But if you find yourself in that situation, I want you to literally put down the food, or wherever you are. Get out of the kitchen, put down the food, take a step back, and genuinely just think about this. Ask yourself, are my actions right now bringing me closer to or further away from my goals? Let's say my goal is to get six pack abs. I want to be shredded. I want to look good. I'll talk about the why in a second here. Let's say that's my goal. Now, are these Oreos that I'm about to eat, are they going to bring me closer to that or further away from that? It's probably further away, right? So, is it really worth it? If your goals matter enough to you, then no, it's not. And that's why having a strong why, a strong reason that you want to get a six pack is the foundation of success here. You need to have a strong why. You don't just want to have your reason shouldn't just be, oh, I just want to look good. I just want to get girls or fucking look cool on the beach. Like those are all good things. And if they motivate you enough, then cool. But ideally, you want to have some more intrinsic motivation here. You want to have something that's really going to drive you when times get tough, when you're in a situation where you have all these Oreos. I don't know why I keep alluding to those, but you have all this shit around you and you're really tempted, you're hungry, you're fucking craving shit, and things are hard. You want to give up, you want to give in to your cravings. That's when you really need a strong why. You need to really remember why you started in the first place. So let's say instead of having your reason be, I just want to look good on the beach, maybe your reason is, I want to feel confident in myself to take my shirt off and not be insecure on the beach and feel good about myself and feel proud of myself for the work that I put in and have others ask me how I did this and be able to help them with that and whatever the fuck. Like, everyone's going to have a different reason. Just try to have one that's deeper than just wanting to look better, wanting to just like some vain reason like that. Have it be, I want to be healthy for my kids. I want to be an inspiration for them or whatever. Something deeper than just, I want to look good. I want to be fucking aesthetic. Like, I'm guessing a lot of you are younger, which, like, you're probably going to be more in that camp, which, whatever. But if you want to have success with this, I highly recommend that you dive deeper and you really dig deep there. But yeah, these are foundational things, foundational mindset shifts that you have to have if you want to get and stay lean forever. But let's talk more about what this system actually looks like. This system that I keep alluding to. Let's talk about this. So it's going to be different for everybody. What matters here is what can you sustain. I keep talking about this, but you have to think long term. Like I said, anybody can lose weight, but can you keep it off? That's the real fucking problem. Most people will lose that weight. Maybe they'll maintain it for a few weeks. Usually people will balloon back up and gain even more weight than they lost fucking right away. 99% of the time. So we want to obviously try to avoid that. So we want to focus on what can you sustain. This is going to be different for everybody. There's going to be some people can sustain a fucking robotic diet where they're eating chicken and broccoli for every meal a day and like just being robotic and fucking, I don't know. Some people can do that. A lot of people can't. Most people cannot. And that's where this idea comes in, which we'll talk about in a second. But you need to find a meal plan that you genuinely enjoy. You need to look forward to your meals. Again, remember I said food is fuel, but you still need to enjoy it because you're not going to stick to it if you don't. You don't want to enjoy it too much where you're tempted to overeat it and you're constantly thinking about your meals and you have all this food noise, but you want to create a meal plan that you genuinely enjoy, you genuinely look forward to, that you don't want to cheat on. That's the whole idea here. You should enjoy your meals enough that you don't even want to cheat. You don't even want to go off plan. You don't even want to do all these things because you genuinely enjoy your meal plan that much. That's the point where I'm at right now. That's when I find success with my diet is when I have this locked in, when I'm really enjoying my meals. If I notice they start to get stale, they start to get boring, whatever, I'll change things up because I know that if I don't, then I'm going to start to crave fucking McDonald's or I don't ever crave McDonald's, but I'm going to crave fucking candy or fucking Chili's or something. I don't know. I don't really crave stuff like that, to be honest, but whatever. You get the idea. So you should generally enjoy the meals you should generally enjoy your meals, and you shouldn't be craving cheat meals all the time. If you are, that's a sign that your diet is too strict. It's not enjoyable enough, and you're not going to be able to sustain it. So get that in check. Now, that's where the 80-20 rule comes in. Try to include your favorite foods. I'm sure you've heard of this idea, the 80-20 rule. 80% clean, 80% whole foods, whatever you want to call it. 20% a little bit looser. Maybe, I don't think any food is is inherently healthy or unhealthy, especially in the context of losing weight, because it all just comes down to calories at the end of the day. So you can fit any food into your diet, which is the beauty of this. But ideally, you want to make smart choices and primarily have whole foods and not have super hyper palatable foods and other stuff like that. But we don't want to aim for perfection here. We don't want to just eat chicken, rice, and broccoli 5 times a day because one, you're not going to be able to sustain it. And two, the second that you have a crumb of anything that's not the fucking perfect diet and you go a tiny bit off plan, you're going to have the all or nothing mindset. You're going to be like, fuck it now. I'm going to let all hell break loose. I'm going to have everything in my pantry. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to get everything. I'm going to fucking start over again tomorrow because I have to be perfect starting again tomorrow. And I can't have any of these foods ever again. And again, I'm going to make a full video about this because this is the root cause of binge eating for 99% of people, 99% of cases. And it's very important that you do not do this. You do not expect perfection. You're a human being. You try to eat well 80% of the time. That's arbitrary. But most of the time you eat well. Some of the time you let loose. You have fun. Maybe it's during the holidays when you're with your family. Maybe it's when you go out to eat with friends fucking once a week or whatever, however often. Find something that works for you that you can sustain and stick to that. That's the key message here, obviously. But I think for me personally, what I like to do is I like to eat pretty much like all whole foods, like single ingredient stuff, like healthy foods, pretty much all the time when I'm by myself, when I'm locked into my diet. But when I'm with friends and I'm going out to eat, or when I'm with my family, they're taking me out to dinner or whatever, that's when I'll let myself kind of let loose a little bit because that's what works for me. I find like if I'm eating bullshit on my own, like that doesn't make me happy. It goes back to trying to fill emotional voids and all this stuff. But if I'm doing it with friends and family, that's a different story. That I genuinely enjoy. And so I try to save those times for when I'm actually with people. You don't have to do this necessarily. That's just what works for me. But again, it's all about what works for you. What can you sustain? That's just what works for me and what I kind of recommend. But let me give you some examples here. So I love fucking dark chocolate. I love Drizzlicious, if you know what those are. If I had either of those things in my house like a couple months ago, I would have the whole entire thing. The whole bar, the whole bag of Drizzlicious, because I would tell myself that I shouldn't be having these and I can't have them every day. Like I can't include them in my daily diet. So I would have this restriction mindset that would lead me to binge eat and overeat and think that I have to eat them all now because I can never have them again. The way that you deal with that and the way that you avoid that is you just have it in moderation. You have it every day. The more you have it, the less likely you are to crave it, and like the less you are to think about it because you literally have it every day. Like you're just not even gonna want it as much. You're not even gonna like it as much. Eventually, you'll probably get bored of it a little bit. But right now, I literally have Drizzlicious like almost every day. Is it the best thing for me to be having? No. Is there worse things? 100%. The ingredients are pretty solid. The macros are solid, so it works well. Same thing with dark chocolate. That's just an example of including my favorite foods in my diet. I love ice cream too. I occasionally let myself have Halo Tops and stuff. I try not to have that kind of stuff because it usually messes up with my gut. But for most people watching this, I wouldn't even worry about that. I'll make more videos about that, about gut health and all that stuff. But I wouldn't even worry about that if you struggle to even stick to your calories and stuff. That's like a next step type of thing. But main idea, eat well majority of the time, but also let loose sometimes and don't set crazy restrictions on yourself. Don't expect to be perfect. Don't expect to be a robot. You're a human being, so act like it. Now, the base of your diet should be what the fuck? The base of your diet should be whole foods primarily, especially lean meats, veggies, and fruits. This should be the base of all your meals pretty much. This can look like ground beef, 93.7 ground beef, sweet potatoes, berries, veggies, frozen veggies, mixed veggies, whatever. That's a very solid meal, one that I have every single day. This can look like chicken breast and potatoes and broccoli, fruits, whatever fruits you love, whatever. Any kinds of fruits and vegetables and meats, especially leaner meats. The fattier ones can get a little tricky. But a good general rule is to try to include one of these at all of your meals. Now, you don't obviously have to follow that completely, but if you eat just these things, you will get lean, pretty much. Unless you're somehow eating a crazy amount of all of them, which the whole point is that it would be very hard to do so because these things are lean, they're filling, they're nutrient dense, you're gonna feel good. So you're gonna be full, you're gonna feel better, you're not gonna want to overeat these things, you're not gonna be able to, like, that's the whole premise here. Now you can obviously, like I was saying, but it's going to be much harder to do so. So if you can make the majority of your diet lean meats, veggies, and fruits, you will get lean. Pretty much. Let's put it that way. Now all this stuff comes down to food choice. Again, it all comes back to calories. So we just have to be mindful of that, and we want to make choices that are going to align with our goals. So this means generally we want to limit hyper palatable processed foods, things like Oreos, things that are high in fat, high in added sugars, that are just super good, super addicting, super easy to overeat, very calorie dense. Like you can have fucking like this much something for 100 calories, like versus you could have this much of fucking fruit for the same amount of calories and be way more full and feel better, be more satisfied, all these things. That's the key there. You want to avoid the former and you want to do the latter. You want to make smart choices, things that are going to be satiating. You can look up the most satiating foods. A simple example of this is instead of having fucking chips, you have potatoes. Potatoes are very satiating. Or instead of having rice, you have potatoes. Or instead of having a banana, you have strawberries or watermelon or something like that. That's not to demonize bananas. It's just a simple example of calorie density. And typically water content is going to be a big proportion of that. So again, you can look up like what foods have the highest water content. Protein and fiber are going to be crucial for satiety. That means they're going to make you feel full for longer. So you want to lean into those for sure. Try to include those at every meal. But again, I could talk about this forever, and this video is way too long. I just realized, fuck me. Nobody's watching this. Fuck me. I feel bad now. I don't know why I feel bad. I'm the one fucking recording it, spending my time. So hopefully you're watching. Again, if you are, comment fucking dick this time. I don't fucking know anymore. But yeah, so here's a couple things that I like to incorporate with myself and my clients, and that works really well for me. Again, I didn't invent any of this shit. These are all stuff that I've learned from mentors, from other people online, from experimentation, whatever. The hunger scale, look it up. I should have put a picture here, but I try to stay between a 3 and a 7. This way we're not getting too full where we're stuffing our face and feeling sick to our stomachs, and we're not overeating therefore, but we're also not letting ourselves get too hungry where we're setting ourselves up to fucking feast and be just ravenous when we get home and just binge out and have the whole pantry because we're starving and making stupid choices because we're starving again. So we want to find that middle ground, that sweet spot. Try to stay between a 3 and a 7. It's arbitrary, obviously, but you just want to be mindful of this kind of thing. And it forces you to actually think about how hungry you are and to really think about this kind of thing and be mindful of it, basically. A lot of benefits there. Something that works extremely well for me and that I highly recommend, but will not work for everybody, is to delay your first meal. It's intermittent fasting. There's nothing special about it other than the fact that it just makes it harder to get more calories in because you're literally just giving yourself less time to do so. It also lets you eat closer to bedtime, which is usually when people are hungriest and when people are most likely to fuck up and make stupid choices because nighttime willpower is at its lowest. Whatever, people are asleep, you're fucking whatever. So delaying your first meal, I like to fast for a couple hours every morning. You can start your day with a coffee. Definitely drink water. You can have electrolytes with it as well. These things will help you delay that first meal. Eventually, you won't even be hungry in the morning. So try to delay that first meal as much as you can until you're really hungry. Then you start eating. Then you break the fast. Ideally with something high in protein, high in fiber that's going to keep you full. That'll just make it easier to stay in a deficit or stay at maintenance, essentially. It's not for everyone, like I said. It can make some people binge out if they get too hungry, like I was saying with the hunger scale. So you just have to know yourself. But it's a very, very useful tool that I would recommend you try out, and that works for a lot of people. Another thing here is environment. I touched on this before. Stop trying to just rely on willpower alone. If you're fucking putting yourself in the situation to have all this food around you all the time. You're constantly in the grocery store, you're constantly at work where there's all these snacks and shit. Now you could argue if you can control it or not, but it's a whole other story. The point is, don't put yourself in these situations. If you know that you're prone to binge eating at night when everyone else is asleep, don't go in the kitchen at night when you know that you're going to binge out, you're going to have all this food, whatever. If you know that coming back home after work when you're starving is going to lead to a binge, is going to lead to you overeating, don't put yourself in that situation. Have a fucking protein shake on the way back or something like that. Set yourself up for success. Don't set yourself up for failure. But the main point is stop trying to rely on willpower alone. Stop having all this junk food in the house, having it tempt you, having it right in your room, right in front of you. Fucking, you're constantly looking at it, thinking about it, craving it. Make it easier for yourself. Stop trying to rely on willpower and discipline and be David Goggins. Make it easier for yourself because nobody can sustain that. Like, you can only have willpower and discipline for so long. You know what I mean? So set up your environment so that it's conducive to your goals and it makes it easier for you to hit them, basically, is the main idea here. Too many people neglect that. You'd be surprised. They think it's just a willpower discipline thing when it's not. You have control of your environment in most cases. Another thing there is don't fucking spend your time around people who are going to be eating all this bullshit. If your friends are like that, some of mine are, they're constantly eating all this bullshit and asking me to go get food with them and all this stuff. Maybe you got to spend less time with them, or you have to make it clear to them that this doesn't align with my goals, guys. Just help me out here. Stop trying to tempt me. Your friends are probably going to clown you, and that's a whole nother story. But just set up your environment so that's conducive to your goals, essentially. Now let's talk about some more habits. Oh, whoops. You didn't see that. Okay, I don't know. Let's talk about habits because, like I said, this is the root here. We want to focus on this. And this is something that I focus on with all my clients is we don't focus too much on the scale weight. Obviously, we track that, but we don't focus too much on that. We focus on building habits. We focus on tracking. Did they hit their steps this week? Did they eat their meals and space them out properly and make smart choices, etc.? We don't focus on did they lose the weight? Did they eat in a deficit necessarily? Obviously, we think about these things, but too many people focus too much on those, and that's why they get short-term results but not sustainable ones. So that's why I very much try to focus on these habits. Now, one of the main ones is steps. I get 20,000 steps a day on average. I use my walking pad. It's fucking, I don't know if you can see that joint. It's right there. I would be walking on it right now, but I didn't want to have the noise in the background for this. But I'm already at like 15,000 steps. It's like 5 p.m. I'm going to get like 5,000 more probably. Anyways, get your steps in. This essentially just burns more calories. Therefore, you can eat more. Therefore, you can increase your deficit or just be able to eat more and maintain your maintenance or whatever your goal is at the time. Just makes it easier to do so. That way you don't have to pull as many calories from food and fucking starve yourself. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? You burn more calories, you can eat more. Pretty simple. Obviously, it's also good for your health. It's good to keep you busy, all these different things. But pretty simple stuff. Now, another very important thing here, as you can see, I emphasize a couple points here, is your sleep. Your sleep directly impacts your hunger levels, your leptin and ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. It makes you hungry. It makes you feel hungry. It makes you want food. Leptin is the opposite. It makes you feel full. It is secreted by your fat tissue. Now, I'm sure I'll talk about that in a separate video, but essentially sleep impacts these things. It can down-regulate leptin and up-regulate ghrelin. So you're gonna be hungrier and you're gonna have more cravings when you sleep like shit. Take it from somebody who's an insomniac. I get like 5 or 6 hours a night on average. I promise you're making your life so much harder by not sleeping well. It's generally very, very difficult for me to fucking stick to my shit some days when I don't sleep well. It's night and day difference when I sleep well versus when I don't. The cravings, the hunger, everything. It's night and day difference, and it's not in your head. It's rooted in physiology. There's more to it than that too. It's not just the hunger hormones, but that's just one of the ways. It can also impact fat oxidation rates and all these different things. So your sleep is very foundational, very important. So get that in check. Another thing, stay out of your kitchen. Even if you're not hungry, like you finished a meal, you're not even hungry anymore. You just ate. Like, just being in your kitchen, your brain associates being in the kitchen, being around food with hunger. So you're gonna see all this stuff and you're gonna be craving it and you're gonna feel hungry, even if you're actually not. So just try to stay out of your kitchen as much as you can. Only be in there when you're eating your meals. Outside of that, get the fuck out of the kitchen. That's why I love this 10 to 15 minute walk after every meal. I've put so many people onto this. Everybody says it's game changing. I promise you guys, like, this shit's game changing. One, it gets you out of the kitchen. Two, it lets you get more steps in. Three, it gives you time to digest and actually have that food register in your brain. I'm not going to get into that, but it gives your food time to digest and hit your stomach, and for that information to be relayed to your brain that you're not actually hungry anymore, because it takes some time to do that. You'll notice you'll eat a meal, right after you finish it, you want more food, but you go for a walk after, you get yourself out of the kitchen as much as you want to go grab more food. You get out of the kitchen, you go for a 10 to 15 minute walk, and then you reassess your hunger and you're like, oh shit, I'm not even hungry anymore. I promise you, try it out if you don't believe me. There's so many benefits to this. It can improve insulin sensitivity, digestion, all these different things. Start walking after your meals. You can doom scroll while you walk. You can fucking call your friend. You can do whatever you want. Just get some steps in, get out of the kitchen. Keep yourself busy. That's another thing here. That's a huge thing. As I was alluding to before, if you're constantly just bored, you're constantly doom scrolling, having nothing to do, you're going to be thinking about food. Like, if I wasn't recording this video right now, if I wasn't working on something or anything, I'm home alone right now, like, I'd probably be bored and be thinking about food, probably be in the kitchen kind of looking around. Is anything in here looking good? Fucking being a fat fuck, basically. So keep yourself busy. It's the biggest dieting hack out there. Like, just keep yourself busy. Find something to do. Promise you it'll make your life 10 times easier. Again, if I wasn't a busy guy like I am, then I would be a fat fuck. So keep yourself busy. Another thing, eat mindfully, slowly / presently. Put your phone away when you eat. Really, I love YouTube. I still do this, I'm not gonna lie. I'm still guilty of this. I love watching YouTube when I eat. It's one of my guilty pleasures. It's one of the few times that I let myself kind of take a break from working and stuff. But there's multiple reasons why it's bad. One, it creates this more positive association with your food, with your meals. It makes you think about them more, because you're not only getting stimulus from the food, you're also getting it from the video. That takes away from the enjoyment you get from the food as well, because you're distracted by the video. And it makes you eat quicker, and therefore you're less satiated by the meal, because, like I said, digestion takes time for it to register. This has been proven in research. And just be present with your meals. Trust me, like, again, I could talk about all this for hours, but be present with your meals. You're gonna enjoy them more. You're gonna appreciate them more. You're gonna eat them slower, feel more full, be less inclined to look for more food and be craving more stuff afterwards. Like, just eat more mindfully and slowly and be present when you eat your food, please. Now, friction. This is something I alluded to before, but essentially you want to increase the friction between you and things that you don't want to do, and you want to do the opposite between things that you want to do. So you want to decrease the friction between things that you want to do more of. Let's say you want to eat more vegetables. So how you're going to decrease the friction, you're going to buy frozen vegetables, you're going to cook them in the microwave, you're going to batch cook them so that they're ready to eat, ready to be microwaved again for every day of the week. Bang, takes 5 minutes of your time. Now you have veggies for the whole week. You're going to season them, put sauce on them that makes them taste good. There you go. Those are some simple ways to decrease the friction. That's some more game for you, by the way. But now the opposite, what would be increasing the friction? So the most easy example here is get junk food out of your house. If you don't have it in your house, you're not going to eat it. If you really want it, you're going to have to go to the store and get it. And that's just increasing the friction, making it less likely for you to do so, because 1, you're probably lazy. 2, you might not have time. 3, you don't want to go to the store and spend more money and be a fat ass and have people judging you because you just went to the store to get fucking ice cream or something. Like, the list goes on and on. You want to increase the friction between things that you don't want to do, and you want to decrease the friction between things that you want to do. This all comes back to your environment, like I was saying before, but again, that's a very big foundational aspect here. But I think that just about sums up everything. 50 fucking minutes, holy shit. I'm going to have to find a way to make these shorter, but Again, I could talk about all this shit for hours. Forgive me if I bored you to death here. I'm sure you've heard all these things before, but hopefully I kind of gave you some new perspective here. Look at me, dude. Look at me. Okay, I'm just kidding. I don't even look that good here. This isn't even the best picture I have, but just wait a couple months. I'm going to beat this look. Don't even worry. None of you give a fuck. But um, I have a full guide. You guys have probably seen me advertise this all the time. I have a full guide that breaks down all these different things in more depth. Well, not necessarily in more depth, but I outline how to actually get lean in the first place, what macros to follow, all these different things. I outline all these different things. I go more in depth on binging, yo-yo dieting, etc. I'm going to make more videos about all these things. I'm going to deep dive all these things. But if you want just a 25-page guide that outlines all this stuff, just DM me on Instagram and I'll send it to you. Just say, you can DM me the word fit, F-I-T, or you can just say, yo, I love the YouTube video, man. None of you are watching this, but I love the YouTube video, man. Can you send me that free guide? And I'm going to send it over to you. So if you want to do that, you can do that. If you want more help implementing these things, because most of you already know all this information and you're watching this video to get kind of you get a boner, a man boner from watching educational stuff, thinking like, oh yeah, I'm doing the right thing here. I'm watching educational stuff. I'm getting more information. I'm getting more knowledge. I'm helping myself get leaner here. But you already know all this stuff realistically most of the time, and it's just you're not putting in the work necessary to actually fucking do it. You're not putting this shit in practice essentially. I would guess that majority of you are in that situation, and if you are, it's not to hate on your parade or anything, but maybe you need some accountability. Maybe you need someone to help you with your specific situation, help you identify your root causes, how to actually implement these things into your life. If that sounds like you, if that sounds like something you're interested in, just shoot me a DM. Like I said, I'm happy to try to help you guys out. I love doing this shit. I want to make this I want to make a living off this stuff, and I will one day. But this is the first video of many on the fucking YouTube channel. This is probably gonna get like 2 views, and it's why I didn't want to start this in the first place. But if you're letting other people dictate your actions and being scared of what people will think of you and letting that stop you from fucking doing things that you want to do, then you're a pussy and you're never gonna be happy. So let this be a lesson to you to not do that. But I hope this is valuable to you. My goal with this channel is to just provide as much free value as I can. The next video I think is going to be about how to build a simple training program, because that was the next highest voted thing. I put a poll on my Instagram if you didn't see that. But let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Let me know if anything here was helpful. And thanks for watching. You said every fucking loser after their high school presentation when they have a fucking boner on stage and okay, I don't fucking know anymore. What am I even talking about, dog? 52 fucking minutes. Jeez. Get a grip, Nicholas. Holy shit. Thanks for watching this. Seriously, if you made it this far, there's no chance anybody made it this far. But if you did, you're a fucking real one, and I actually love you. Like, genuinely. You're the fucking man. But or girl, I guess. But, yeah. Subscribe. Okay.